I'm about to catch a flight with TUI on their Boeing 737 to Hurghada from London Gatwick. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing and sharing that experience with you. So I've literally just checked in at the check-in desk. Absolutely no one there. So it's a check-in desk for all the flights. And they also have the self bag drops, but they're not in use during off-peak times. So it was pretty quick. I'd already checked in online, so it was literally just dropping off my bag. It was pretty quick. Even though I printed off a boarding ticket, she printed me off another one. No complaints there. I am now going to go through departures, security, and yeah, let's see what's in Gatwick Airport, or if anything has changed since the last time I've flown from Gatwick. So before you actually make your way through departures, there's a couple of restaurants outside. So if you come with friends and family and they're dropping you off, you can grab a bite to eat here. Well, like a kind of pub, and I think there's like a Jamie Oliver dining. Currency exchange, there may be a WH Smith. There's always a WH Smith at these airports. There's quite a long queue to get through to security, so I'm going to head in there now, and I'll see you on the other side. So I've made it through security. It was a little bit hectic. It's been the first time in quite a while that I've had to take my shoes off to go through security, but the queue was like really long, and I mean, it seemed like nobody knew what was going on. So I made it through security. As soon as you get through, you're met with like the standard duty free. So in some of my other flight reviews, I've mentioned how I'm not really a fan of the London airports, but I thought I'm gonna, try and take a different approach and look for the positives in this airport. So I'm flying from the North Terminal, and one thing I can say is that there are loads of shopping options here. So the duty free is quite extensive. I say duty free because I feel like duty free is not really duty free anymore. You don't get the big discounts like you might have done years ago. But loads of shops like WH Smith, which is in every airport, but you've got you can get your accessories here, digital bits and pieces in Emotion, I think it's called, and there are lots of eateries and restaurants on the upper floor. Hi, this is Estelle Post Flight, reminding you to subscribe and hit that notification bell. This is my second flight with TUI. The first flight that I had was to Sao, and I absolutely enjoyed flying with TUI that time. As I boarded the plane, I noticed they weren't playing their joyful music. It's a Boeing 737, so of course it's got the 3x3 configuration. There's no business class whatsoever, as it's a budget airline. However, if you do want extra legroom, you can pay for it at the time of booking, and they're the front row seats and the emergency exit row seats. I did not pay to book my seat in advance, so I was allocated my seat in check-in, which was an aisle seat. If I'm honest, I do prefer sitting on an aisle seat because I don't have to ask the passenger next to me to get up anytime I want to go to the toilet or stretch my legs. The seats are pretty basic. There's no adjustable headrest and no in-flight entertainment at all. At the back of the seat, you just have the standard literature that you would expect on a flight. The legroom is okay. It's much better than Wizz Air, but not as generous as Jet2. The seats do have a little button on them so that they can recline back, but I don't know, nobody during this flight would recline their seat. I really wanted to recline my seat, but I guess the peer pressure was getting it to me. So I'm just not sure if this is some unspoken etiquette that's on TUI flights or budget airlines, or if it's just a British thing, because everybody on this flight was from the UK. But yeah, I like to use the recliner on my seat, especially for a flight that is more than 2 hours long. Also at the back of the seat, you've got a USB port to charge your electronic device. which I think is a nice touch. Because there's no in-flight entertainment, I definitely recommend bringing your own. I made sure that the audiobooks that I'm listening to on my Audible app were downloaded so I could listen to them on the flight, because this flight from London Gatwick to Hurghada is a 5-hour flight, and the plane's not necessarily the most comfortable to, you know, try and get a little bit of sleep on the plane. It's not a plane for sleeping on, which I can vouch for, because on my way back I had the overnight flight which left Hurghada at 10 p.m. and arrived in London Gatwick at 2:30 a.m. and I could not rest at all. My body was literally aching me the next day from just being uncomfortable in the seat. I think the seats are okay for short haul flights, but for this 5-hour flight it is pushing it quite a bit in terms of comfortability. With most of the budget airlines, there's no food or drink included in the price of your ticket. However, there is the option to order food on board the flight. I would just recommend getting food at the airport, and there's so many restaurants and eateries at the London airports. You should just get something to eat. If you don't have time, get food to take away. There's like a prep which you can grab food and go. I did buy some food at the airport and did bring a few snacks with me on board the plane, but I did get a little bit peckish, so I did order some overpriced chips, which, you know, were a little bit disappointing. They just tasted like microwavable chips, and for me they felt like and tasted like they could have been cooked or heated up just slightly longer, so they were hot all the way through, but you know when the potato is still a little bit hard, where it just needs to be boiled or cooked through a little bit longer. In terms of the literature that was included at the back of the seat, there was the TUI magazine, which is just essentially selling all the different holidays and the flight routes that TUI has on offer, the safety card, the cafe magazine, which has all the food and drink on sale, a sick bag, and the shopping magazine where you can get some duty free. There's nothing much to say about the toilets. They were relatively clean, but they're a bit tiny. Not much maneuvering space inside of the toilet, but you have what you need: the throne, the sink, and soap. So would I fly with TUI again? Yes, definitely. This is my second time flying with TUI. Although the seats aren't that comfortable for longer flights, and then you also have to order food, pay for food on board, and the food that you do pay for isn't necessarily the best. One thing about TUI is that their customer service is on point. I find that the cabin crew are enthusiastic, polite, full of positive energy. They're kind and thoughtful and go out of their way to provide a good service. And actually, that's what I appreciate about TUI. Their customer service for me is what makes TUI a really good airline to fly with, and I would definitely fly with them again. I would try my best to avoid getting an overnight flight, so that my body's not aching me the next day. Overall, this was like a really good start to my holiday in Egypt. I've created a video on the top things to do in Egypt, which you may be interested in checking out. I want to share with you my top things to do in Egypt. One of the things you definitely have to do is come and see the iconic Great Pyramid of Giza. This is the biggest pyramid in Egypt by King Chops, and it's one of the classic 7 wonders of the world. No trip to Egypt is complete without seeing this magnificent masterpiece.